Arizona State's transfer portal class is wildly slept on right now. Would it surprise you to learn that the Sun Devils possess the number 15 rated transfer portal class nationally, according to 24/7 Sports rankings? Would that surprise you? Probably would a little bit. But you know what? Kenny Dillingham has been very serious and very earnest in his pursuit to quote-unquote activate the Valley. Well, it appears to be working. For those of you that think the recruiting and especially transfer portal world is just all about NIL nowadays, it's not, but it's a factor. Kenny Dillingham has gotten them moving in the right direction. Remember when we weren't sure Kenny Dillingham would stay? When he was kind of a candidate for the Michigan job, when he was playing footsie with answering whether or not he was going to stay in Tempe? I don't think he ever wanted to leave. But he got a little bit more out of the Sun Devils administration. He is so perfect for that job and such an easy guy to root for. So his transfer portal class is headlined, of course, by Cutter Boley, the transfer quarterback from Kentucky. 6'5", decent mobility, huge arm, bit of a project. But you've got Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo and a very strong track record at quarterback over the last couple of years. And I have to give Marcus Arroyo credit where it's due. I've been critical of him in the past. I didn't think that he was the best hire Kenny Dillingham could have made. It's obviously working out. At the end of last season, Jeff Sims, was winning games for ASU and was at least competent. Sam Levitt's injury might have derailed another trip to the Big 12 championship game. So bringing in Cutter Boley, who's got a lot of upside, some experience as well, there's certainly an exciting component to that move. But there are a couple other things that are noteworthy here. First of all, at the quarterback position, they brought in Mikey Keene from Michigan. He was at Fresno State before that. And until he got hurt in the lead up to last season, might have been Michigan's starting quarterback. Total veteran. This is a winning sort of move. I expect Cutter Boley to be the starter. If Mikey Keene winds up winning the job, I won't be shocked. They're very different. Mikey Keene is not a very big guy. He's on the smaller side, 5'11", 200 pounds. Cutter Boley's on the bigger side. You can't watch tape of Cutter Boley and not look at what he's got that's just different than everybody else. And that is, of course, the size at 6'5", 220. So that quarterback battle might be more intense than some anticipate. We'll see what happens in spring ball. If Cutter Boley doesn't work out, if he starts making mistakes, you can go to Mikey Keene, who probably knows he's going to battle for playing time. I'm sure he'll see the field this year, but Arizona State has rotated quarterbacks a bit before, often out of necessity. It might be out of necessity again. Maybe Cutter Boley's not ready. So that's the first part that I want to highlight. The second thing, though, Amarion Miller is one of the top wide receivers to hit the portal this cycle. He has been at Colorado the last couple of seasons, 6'2", over 200 pounds. Guy is a proven player in the Big 12 Conference. And he now comes to Arizona State as a part of an elite tandem added to replace the loss of Jordan Tyson. So Arizona State's passing game the last couple of years, at times, I won't say entirely, but at times has felt very Sam Levitt to Jordan Tyson dependent. And Kenny Dillingham, being the sharp coach that he is, has seen that, and some of that's had, some injuries sprinkled in there. He sees that and goes, you know what? I want to have two premier options on the perimeter. Well, insert Amarion Miller, who can be, I believe, a number one go-to wideout in the Big 12 Conference. Then he brings in Reed Harris from Boston College, who's going into his fourth year of college football, off his most productive season to date. This past year went over 600 yards through the air. He's 6'5", 217 pounds. You talk about big targets for a big quarterback to throw the ball to. Everything about Arizona State just feels big going into this year. I think those two weapons are premier options for Cutter Boley or maybe Mikey Keene to throw the ball to. But those are not the only moves I want to talk about on this segment, because there are other additions they've made that are going to play a role. They just aren't going to garner the same sort of attention because they don't play a flashy, stat-driven spot like quarterback or wide receiver. Let's talk about Owen Long, 6'2", 230-pound linebacker from Colorado State. Long last year, if you checked out PFF, graded pretty well. Not great as a pass rusher, perhaps, but around a 70 overall grade. Good, solid player. Did you know that nobody in college football had more tackles than him last year? Nobody. He was playing in the Mountain West. The stacked version of the Mountain West, not the new Mountain West. One of the top group of 5 leagues in the country last year. And, rattled up. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Racked up is the proper way to say it. 151 tackles. Nobody else had more tackles in the entire country last year. They bring over Marion Winston from Baylor, one-time Oregon transfer. That's a guy that on the edge, I don't think he's a game changer necessarily, but he's the sort of body with proven experience that you want to be able to have as a part of your rotation at the very least if you're going to separate yourself in the edges. I'm not saying he's Romello Height going to Texas Tech. I'm just saying it's a good move. Lyric Rawls at safety coming over from Kansas. Again, not a move that's going to be super flashy. That's going to pop on TV all the time. Jalen Thompson, another edge, a body type that Arizona State, I think they've been looking for a lot of production off the edge since they lost BJ Green a couple years ago. Maybe Jalen Thompson is one of those guys. Maybe he and Amarion Winston wind up being the bookend edge guys for Brian Ward and this Arizona State defense. So Thompson, 6'3", 260 pounds, Michigan State transfer, left the situation that unfolded there in East Lansing, decides to go play with Kenny Dillingham rather than Pat Fitzgerald. That's what I would do as well, at least for now. But there's nothing about playing at Arizona State that sounds unappealing. It just looks like a lot of fun. And oh, by the way, it's really, really warm. So you're talking about a group of receivers that's going to support whichever quarterback is out there, and they've got the quarterback depth they need to go through the season and have plenty of success. And then you bring in defensive transfers to continue what has quietly been a solid unit, not elite necessarily, but quietly very good. Brian Ward's a guy that I think is going to be tough to keep around in Tempe for much longer because he's a really good defensive coordinator. Arizona State fans don't want to hear me say that, so I'll just pretend like I never did. Arizona State, quietly, they're not Texas Tech. They don't have loads and loads of money. They're trying to work to get there. But remember, the last 2 teams to go to the college football playoff, Joey McGuire's Texas Tech Red Raiders, Kenny Dillingham's Arizona State Sun Devils. Do not sleep on this ASU portal class.